Hello everyone, welcome to Florida Gardener. Um, of course, the purpose of this video is about gardening, but of course, as you can see, my peacocks will be included. I just thought you might like that view. And I would also like to say Happy New Year to everyone. And also the purpose with the video is to inform everyone of fruit and vegetable gardening, and as far as flowers, the pollinating flowers that you should have that helps with pollinating the fruit and vegetable plants. So I'll get started showing you my plants, and let's grow together. This is my palm tree, and as you all know, for Florida, it had a freeze. I'm sure people up north, they laugh at our freezes because they get a lot colder, but for Florida, that was a big freeze for us. But the palm tree survived. And this is my other, this is a pollinating tree. It's not a fruit tree. And of course, right now it's not the season for the flowers, but just thought I'd let you know like what I have going on, and as through each season, we'll learn how these plants do. And let's see here. This plant isn't having any flowers right now either, but it did survive the freeze. And it is a pollinating flower plant. And this is my other palm tree. It survived the freeze. And this here I have is a fruit tree that I need to definitely get in the ground this spring. I believe it is a mango fruit tree. We'll see when the spring comes. And there goes one of my peacocks again. And I'll take you over here. This is our other plant that survives pretty much every season. And this plant is a pollinating flower plant. It is a Florida plant, so of course it did not survive. I'll definitely have to redo that one. And this plant as well is a Florida plant. It didn't survive, so I will go over that, like what Florida plants is best to grow in Florida, of course. And this is a type of palm that, surprisingly, palm trees, they survived because those are warm weather plants, so that really surprised me, to be honest. This is another pollinating flower plant I had, but of course the warm weather, the warm weather, the freeze got to it. And this is also, it doesn't have the lilies, but this is a lily type of plant. And the freeze, let me get closer. It got to some of the leaves. It's not completely messed up, but it's pretty good. And this is another palm tree, and as you can see, it goes all the way up. It's a pretty tall tree, and it did good. I also have a peacock on the top of my house. And the fern. Milo. And I have a fern here that reseeds itself, so I have fern like in several different places that I didn't even have to put there. It just keeps growing. And this here is a croton, and it is a Florida plant, but it somehow survived the cool weather and in the freeze, I should say. But that is good, and I definitely have to get this one in the ground as well this spring. And this here is a lily plant, but it, of course, right now doesn't have the flowers, and I will definitely show you that as it comes about. I'm just trying to show you here in Florida, since this is a Florida gardening video, what survives and what doesn't. And the purpose of this also is to help people who are new at gardening, especially right now with the economy and inflation. They are starting to garden, so it's just to help inform newbies, which of course I'm sure experienced people are here as well. And this is an interactive video, so if any experienced people have any information that is welcomed as well. So here is more of my fern that I said just keeps growing, and the winter freeze did not affect it. Then I have here a flowering plant that, lantana, that's the name, the lantana, and it did not like the freeze at all. It's definitely a Florida plant. And this also was a purple plant, but it did not like the freeze as well. And this here, if you can see it, is one of my pollinating plants, but it didn't seem to, as you can see the leaves, it didn't seem to take the freeze very well. And the same with this plant. It was one of my pollinating plants, and it did not take the freeze very well. And here is my banana tree, which I gotta cut the leaves off because it got beat up really bad. So, although the bananas are still here, so they survived, but the leaves, not so much. So definitely have to, in the spring, give it some nutrition, and I'll definitely go over that when I start fertilizing the plants. I'll go over what works for me, and then you can just take it from there, what works for you, and so forth. And this is another set of my lily plants that, of course, aren't growing the lily flowers yet, but they definitely, once they start growing, they are very pretty. And as you can see, the freeze didn't affect them either, which is surprising because it's a warm weather plant as well. So let's go over here. And all my peacocks are camping out on top of my house. Let's see. What do I have for you today? What else? And I have this pollinating plant here as well that the freeze didn't seem to affect it very much, which is good. Ooh. And I think that will be it for today, and I hope everyone has a happy new year. Thanks for joining me.